What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to a HYDRA mod stream. I'm at the very bottom of the document here for reasons I will get into in a moment. Today, earlier, before I started the stream, obviously, HYDRA put together some fixes for the trap hardcode. I'm going to test those out relatively soon, but I just documented every single change that I would like to make that has not yet been made, and that I think would be reasonable to make in this engine. And it's a relatively large list, but I'm going to start making some compromises in terms of how some of the abilities or behaviors are technically implemented, finding something that is a bit more technically sound for this engine, so that we can actually have some version of like the final thought process or whatever, like the concept will at least be somewhat understandable, is what I hope, anyway. So let's see. I'm worried for you, Iquare, because you've got this like I think we've talked about this before. I don't know if you were even on stream when I last mentioned this, but you have this track record of like if you think back to the Reaver Menace, you had all of these different new units and upgrades and mechanics and stuff, and they weren't necessarily polished, right, to like the fullest extent. Like some of the micro mechanics and the micro maps or whatever are good examples of that generally, because like they weren't integrated, or like the ice freezing your units or whatever in that one ice map. It wasn't integrated in the same way as you would potentially want it to be. Like it was done in a roundabout way, and that's like engine limitations. Like in a better engine, you'd be able to do all that shit and explore more interesting ways to implement that stuff. It's sort of what I was just getting at, where like I'm gonna have to make some compromises with the concept and how it's executed, just because of the limitations to the engine. And I feel like you've always had these like big ideas and you want to explore those ideas, but the engine drags you back down. It's sort of like I've always liked big scale battles, but the engine drags me down with the unit limit and the bullet limit and so on and so forth. I think if nothing else, like even if you feel dissatisfied or not as satisfied as you want to feel with wherever Overlord is at the end of the full toilet roundabout contest here, the event, the mentality that I'm in, approaching it with is, listen, we made some pretty crazy tech demos, and we got a lot of progress done, and we explored a lot of really interesting ideas. Now we make this new engine. Now we make it so that we can actually like bring those ideas to life. You know what I mean? And so if nothing else, even though it might feel like you want to go out with a bang. You've been modding Brood War for however many years now. You want to make sure that it feels epic. That you're like, all right, let's do this. Let's do whatever the case may be. Let's do whatever. I don't know. Just being able to say at the end of it, like, all right, maybe it wasn't as polished or as feature complete as I wanted it to be, but it's something. And all of the issues you run into, all the stuff that brings you down, all the engine limitations, all the bugs and crashes that have like no documentation to them and are like really confusing, all that shit is it's a reminder of how much better it's going to be when we sit down and smash out the new engine over the course of however many months or years it takes to really perfect it. But we'll get to the point. I think within a few months we'll get like the fundamentals down, and we'll get to the point where we can really comfortably like move forward with putting together some really exciting things, and like actually get to the point where we can make content within it. Like all the shit you've had to deal with Overlord and HYDRA and Toddborn and like feeling the burn and Rust and all this insane simulation suffering. All of the comments that you leave in code where it says why we have to suffer, all the comments of Lard code, all of the insane memory patches, all of the learning assembly. It's all culminating, right? It's coming to a head with you realizing just how much better life is going to be when we can just fucking make this stuff. And yeah, I definitely, I'm super down to do like map craps or small events now and then while we also work on the engine. Because the motivation to work on the engine is not something that is going to be, it might surprise us. We might get like really excited and work on it until it's like ready for content to be developed or whatever, right? But there's probably going to be some things that slow us down, some tasks that are really monumental, like maybe we try to put the finishing touches on pathfinding and we find some error and we've got to go back and like re-engineer some shit or something. Like a networking or graphics implementations or something could really slow us down in that department under certain circumstances, right? I look at that and I see like that's probably going to happen no matter what. So rather than like try to lie to ourselves and say, no, we should just be able to work on it every single day for X amount of hours a day. Like we should definitely do like the 15 minutes a day, like one of my recent dad cause talks about. But we should also be able to say like, hey, this is not a, they call it like there's a saying in English where it's a marathon, not a sprint, because the idea is that it's a long journey and you need to be able to like maintain your sanity and your motivation for the long journey rather than like trying to finish it all in 1 month or something. Yeah. No, I agree. And I think it'll be really cool to see some of these ideas that we have. Like, that's one of the reasons why I actually wanted to develop concepts for Acropolis and Continuum and all of those other, like, really large scale maps, like the Nemesis stuff or like the 1000 Zergling attack ad 1000 Zergling map in Consummate. Like, I want to explore those really crazy extreme case scales of what's really happening with the with some of like the largest scale stuff in RTS history, really, um, because it's like motivation to continue forward. It's like that's a goal to strive towards. That's going to take you time to get there, but like it's just so awesome that you want to see it in action. You know, like I'm not sure what an allegory would be for Overlord specifically, but like, you know, excavation or seeing like the AI actually excavate minerals. Like the first time you saw an AI do it, no matter how stupid the AI actually was, and no matter how many like how much more work and iteration it needed, that was probably epic. You were like, fuck yeah, my AI digs minerals out from underneath the terrain. This is like the first time anybody's ever done that in Brood War. Nobody's ever done that before. Fuck yeah, I did it. Like, there's got to be some element of like catharsis or like satisfaction that comes from that. So, like, I think the same thing will happen with very often in the new engine. We're gonna find shit like that. Much in the same way, like when Veek finally finishes fucking around with the with PyDat, so that sound effects data extender can be implemented. Uh, he's probably gonna feel pretty good about that too. He's gonna be like, "Fuck yeah, I suffered through Python," just like you're like, "Fuck yeah, I'm man versus Rust," and I won a lot of battles in that war. So I'm just saying, I know it's easy to get like really frustrated and overwhelmed with errors and issues and stuff like that, but it doesn't have to be like that. So DF said that he's getting ready to complete those engines. This was yesterday. He said that he already did the Terran ones, but he was in the middle of doing the Protoss ones, and I think other than, oh yeah, I wanted to also check if I guess I should grab the wireframes for whatever got created. Mactaleth. That's epic, dude. Bumbo snail. Yeah, exactly. And creating it's gonna be real satisfying, man. I'm telling you. Nice typo on the fucking PSD. It was very late when I converted those graphics. Guess that shows. All right, so I think I can actually do the Barghest and Magister behaviors since I was poking around yesterday doing the range checks and stuff for for fixing the madrigal. So I should be able to actually do that. I don't remember where the range checks were though, so I'm gonna search for tempo change in the entire solution and see what I got here, because there's probably like if good. No, that's not. That ain't it. What is this? Oh, that's disabled the code that I was testing earlier. We can get rid of that. I will have to go into the what is it? The weapon armor tooltip and change some stuff here. Okay, here we go. So I'm changing all of these cases to plus equals because I have to make it so that it's not like a unit ID switch. I don't think I got very far with it, but I probably do. Oh, it's probably... Wait, I actually don't know where it is. There it is? Oh, it has its own folder. This isn't going to be the right one. Oh wait, I can copy this. We'll call that. Wow. I didn't actually finish very much of it. In fact, I think most of the terrain here is taken from the fifth map. But yeah, this was what was planned. Oh, I still have like locations and shit from the old map as well. The fifth map. So I didn't get very far with it. I wrote like some scripts, some dialogue for it, but I didn't get very much farther than that. Yeah, it was going to be really weird. Like I have way more planning data for that than I do have like I don't even know where the planning data would be. It's not in here. It's probably on the old Google Drive. Yeah, if I check this, I might be able to find some info. Looks like I just have a bit of the mission briefing. The Judicator's vanguard despair as the swarm begin destroying their fortifications. All seems lost until the Overmind is vanquished and Phoenix arrives to drive back the invaders. The Praetor takes command of the surviving vanguard and the briefing ends. I was actually messaging the voice actor of Raynor to try to get him to do lines. But he said that Blizzard would have had to sign off, so that was a dead end. Hell yeah, Todd Burius. What's going on anyway, Mr. Man? How you doing, dude? Okay, I need to actually add some shit in here. Can you believe the fan fiction that has come out? That's embarrassing. That actually made me that made me cringe out of my skin when I read that. I can't believe that's real. Was it really? I guess it probably was. That was me showing off a bit of dramatic flair. I mean, I guess it could have been a comma instead, but I really wanted to separate the two, you know? Dreams do come true. I don't know about that one. So we're looking at we are trying to implement the Barghest. Did I come up with like a name for the? Doesn't look like it. Unless I have it in Firegraft, but I have not actually implemented it. Yeah, it doesn't look like I came up with a name for the passive. Yeah, take another look at it. So for some of the later tier Protoss tech, I wanted to try and tap into the idea that some of their technology was essentially deemed to be like, it's sort of like if you took a religious spin on a nuclear missile or something, you know what I mean? Like we all consider based on like the Geneva Convention and shit like that, like certain weapons are just off limits, like chemical weapons and stuff. And in for Protoss, I wanted to have stuff that was way like significantly worse in terms of impact because they're obviously way more advanced than a nuclear missile or than uh, a chemical weapon or whatever, but something that they would treat the same way. And since their culture has a lot of religiosity to it, I wanted to kind of like merge those two thematics. So you've got like forbidden technology that like really they only turn to in absolutely desperate times. And then you've got like the religious undertones to everything where like they've got ceremonies and shit like that. So the Protoss essentially have this whole like construction around some of their ultimate technology. Like the Star Sovereign is a giant ship that will eventually be able to glass the surface, dealing damage to ground targets. And that'll be like it's like what happened in the campaign cutscene or whatever, where the Protoss were actually glassing things. And it's a way to like reinforce that through actual gameplay. And like technology like that essentially leaves a bad taste in the Protoss's mouths. They view that as like a Pyrrhic victory because they had to stoop so low as to like the times became so desperate that they had to break out this technology that they otherwise would never want to use. And so the Barghest is kind of similar, even though it's a swarming type unit where you build a lot of them, because it's like it's like a fiendish experiment, basically. It's like this nightmarish experiment of the Protoss where they created this like living, in quotes, entity that's actually entirely robotic in construction and in materials. And it's like I don't go too heavily into the lore in the actual game, obviously. Like you just use the unit or whatever. I think like when you mouse over it in the Robotics Authority when you're trying to build it, it's like something like Yeah, it says fiendish experiment. So like that's pretty much the all you get there in terms of like the flavor text or whatever. But the idea was to like tie in a couple of their end game units to this theme that when you're using this unit, it's like it's some shit has gone down. Like it's really supposed to be the underscoring how desperate they are or whatever. Like that is supposed to call into question like, did you really need that, or were you like maybe a little too antsy on that? So. Oh yeah, that's true too. That's another flavor text thing. So like when you're mousing over like Reaver or whatever, it'll say assemble Reaver or assemble shuttle. But when you mouse over the pariahs or the Barghests tooltip, it says profane Barghest, which is kind of like I actually like doing that even in comedy projects or whatever. Where in the anime mod, like in Toddborn, you had a what was the term? There was some verb that I used for what it was like deviant or something. It wasn't that. It was there was some term for like I really wish I remembered what it was. I'm gonna have to go look at the strings now because it's bothering me. But there was some term for like building some of the later anime units that was pretty funny. Um, oh, it's degenerate maybe. Oh, deprave. That's what it is. It's deprave. Or no, that's for researching something though. Like there was something else. So to deprave was to research for the anime faction. Degenerate, yeah, it was degenerate editor, degenerate subscriber. Like this is actually the the verbiage used to describe producing units. So I actually like doing that. Like the worker unit was a cosplayer, and it was like a drone where it would get consumed into the structure. So you're actually cosplaying as the structures, and that's your tech tree. I like hinting at the thematics of the race or whatever with text like that, where it makes you think like, wait, what the fuck? Like, what is even going on? Yeah, the fanboys where they would when they lose all their health, they run at you and die. I definitely felt the bird trying to program that, yeah. But yeah, generally I like the idea of stuff like that. I feel like it's pretty cool. Oh yeah, I was gonna ask earlier about the Gladius is a spacecraft that has this weapon that can infinitely bounce as long as it's not like it can't bounce to a target that it's already bounced to. And so initially I thought maybe this would be fine if you just had like one C unit layout A's ID flag, but I'm thinking that that might actually require globals instead because we're going to have to keep track of unit the unit, their hit status, and we need to keep track of both of those things for every single Gladius bullet. So would that be something that requires a globals situation, or is that something that we could? Okay, I figured that we might need something like that. Like in theory, it shouldn't be that difficult to do, but finding a way to make sure that it makes sense is obviously ideal. Oh shit! It's E Crazy Man. Get him out of here. Banned. Goodbye. Farewell, man. I think the Gladius will be pretty fun, yeah. I'm not sure what the like it right now its weapons data is set to behavior. I mean its weapons behavior is set to bounce, but the unit itself, I mean the projectile's iScript itself doesn't actually have a bouncing iScript. So I'm going to have to fix that on the iScript level. Just copy the glaive worm one and then like set it up in a similar fashion, but yeah, I'm not sure about how that's going to look. It's kind of similar where it's meant to be able to adapt to large masses of units. It's just that the idea that I had was that this unit, sort of like the Madrigal in its default form, it's situationally powerful based around the idea of the number of units that it's attacking or that it's like able to be leveraged into. And obviously the Gladius is like a tier 2 air unit instead of a tier 2 mechanical unit or whatever, so well, hopefully that isn't too difficult. If you want to send me the memory address for it, I can hook it in like weapon fire or weapon damage or something. Forget how you spell sapiens. Presumably it's that. We'll probably need another one at some point, but what's going on, Mr. Mojo? How you doing? I've been pretty well. Just programming in some abilities, some behaviors rather, for some of the newer units that I've been adding. Okay, Equer. I'll jot those down. Yeah, I use OBS. In weapon armor tooltip, I'm gonna need to. I guess I can just copy over the same thing that I used for that. In OBS, I make the webcam a circle by... So basically, I right-click on my webcam in the sources, and then I hit filters, and then there's an effect filter called circle. I mean, you just go to add a crop pad, right? Oh no, what is this? Is this a mask? Oh, I think it's an image mask / blend. Yeah. And then I just have a file. And that file is just a circle. That way it masks out everything that's not like all the black on the outside. Since there's no data there, it doesn't. It masks all of that stuff out. It basically uses it as a mask, like in Photoshop, if you've ever used that, and that results in this. And then the ring around it is a separate image layer that I've just aligned manually. But you could probably do something a little bit more. Like one thing you could do a little bit more intelligently if you wanted it to be like the same size across all scenes is you could make a, like you could go into Photoshop and you could make a 1920 by 1080 or whatever your streaming resolution is image, and you just have it be mostly black, but then you make your circle, say like 300 pixels here, whatever, close enough. And then you would like, you know, whatever you're doing here, I guess it would probably be better to do it as a shape. I forget where the shapes are. So we did like a ellipse tool. And then again, we did this. Suddenly we have our ring. We just move it around to the bottom or wherever we're putting it. And then it's always the same size. You just load this image. You don't even have to align it. Okay, so added the bonus range here for these stacks. And I think on I guess in unit destructor special I should add the proc for Barghests. Wait, what? Oh, this is the inverse. Okay. So we basically need to have something similar to that. So we say if unit ID equals unit ID Protoss Barghest. What is the range for this again? So then over here, we can actually create the behavior proc itself. So in this case, we would have to find... I think I can probably do that from memory. Never mind, I always forget this, man. I don't know why. Base property. What's in the can, as opposed to what's in the box? Alright, so this is robotic sapiens. So this returns false if the player is not allied, right? Should we even have an ally check? It says all robotic units, so it should probably be something that we'll remove that entirely. So basically it'll only return false if the unit is not a robotic unit. So yeah, this should work fine. Yeah, hopefully that helps you out. Okay, so we've got that. In theory, it should work. Oh, I guess we can also do like if scbw get generic value unit value ID. So don't apply the stack if it's greater than or equal to 5. I guess this would be less than, right? Actually, I should double check my other code to make sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll build that. We'll see how it goes. Because with any luck, that should allow me to... that should be everything that we need to do for that. So... Just waiting for it to actually do that. Would only make sense. Uh-oh. There we go. Hit the wrong button. Can't see my... There we go. So that's 1246. I'm a big fan of permanent effects like that. Oh, I didn't set their button set in a Firegraph, so... Okay. It's a pretty generous amount of range as well, so... What would be a unit that would actually... I'm not sure if Reavers would actually benefit from this. But if we had something... I mean, obviously a Simulacrum would. Pariah is not technically robotic. Oh, I guess the Idol, right? Now, the thing is, this would, in theory, provide a range increase to... Oh, man, I'm going to have to do this in such a stupid way. But basically, I'm going to have to... Why? What the fuck? Although I did just realize that since the default is bonus around equals 0 and this is above it, that probably is not a good idea. That probably means that we'll have well, the actual range will be fine, but the seek range won't be. Anyway, we've got a range of 6 here. So we'll just wait for this guy to execute these people. Not getting any tooltip yet. I'm willing to bet that it did not work at all. Yeah, okay. So it's not working yet. We'll have to do a debug message to see what's up. But before that, taking care of this problem with the seek range. Oh, that's kind of rough because they obviously could have an air weapon that's... I don't know if there are any cases where the air weapon is melee, but the ground weapon isn't, or vice versa. I don't think so. I think it's all the same in that sense. I mean, really, since it only affects mechanical units, I could just... or robotic units, rather. I could just make a unit ID case to for the golem, but I would prefer not to, so... What would the other case be here? I just thought of it too, but I don't remember what it was. Didn't articulate it. I guess I can duplicate this and then make it get air weapon instead to cover my bases. But I think there is something else to that. Okay, so let's go in here and see if we're getting anything. We'll say text. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that there are so many problems with the preprocessor AI, but I guess a lot of it is like AI script limitations. I already run into those myself, so I can't really say I'm surprised per se. Let's see if the proc even runs. Oh, it's technically a ground unit. That's pretty funny. What the fuck? Oh, it's supposed to be. That's pretty funny. Well, right. No, Barghest is an air unit. I just haven't set that flag apparently. So if we check the Barghest, 104. Yeah, I'm mostly worried about thread overflow. AI slowdowns, you can just build A's on release and that solves most of the problems. All right, so now we're matching the unit and we're setting the stack. So there's that, but for some reason it's not actually applying. Not sure why that's the case. Maybe there's something that's overwriting the... Yeah, it's the same graphic, but obviously the recoloring is not enabled this time around. That's the idle. I think it just did like AoE damage, and it was supposed to... Well, I have the documentation on that, but... Lawhound, hell yeah. Deep Office, I forgot about that one. So yeah, it dealt normal area damage, fired 3 times because 3... Flexible recipient. Bear blowers can be repaired by engineers, healed by emergency chicken, and restored by red meat. Gotta love that. Can be repaired and healed. That's goofy. Yeah, it's like exactly. Combatants killed by smashburger cannons leave behind a small pool of nutritious burger juice. I love the donuts and coffee grounds were the resources. Infantry loaded into ice cream trucks are healed over time. I also like it. The ice cream truck was, of course, an air unit. Why wouldn't it be? Doghouse. Arms racist, by the way. Engineer. Here we go. Oh wait, is that even the same guy? I think it is. That's like the everyman voice. That's the voice everybody can get behind. Dude, I love the cheese on the cosplayer. Fanboy. Fanboys become catatonic on death, charging to the nearest hostile and exploding after 2 seconds, dealing 10+1 explosive damage. Anti-establishment infantry. I guess that's true because he did deal a lot of damage to buildings if you allowed him to, but that's pretty fucking stupid. And then of course Mongo. I mean Boko. Ranged Mongol. I like that. Mongol as a class of unit. 333 HP, 3 armor. 100 plus 3. That fucking beam attack that the authors had was hilarious to me. I even had the adjutant lines and some voice acting and stuff. I can't even see the crow in this preview, and its role is just fucking prank. I like that one. On death, costs. On death, screams. Roll, that's pretty good. Voidbringer. What a reality, dude. Wuckmaker emerges from the retcon orifice. Wait, why? Why does it require that? No, 333, 333, 3, 33, plus 30. Click for big. Dude, imagine Toddborn's Cullen mode in the new engine. Hell yeah. Oh boy, pizza. Man, the classes were a real thing. At the advent of Todd's Void, the anime clans have fallen into utter disarray. Yeah, it'll be epic, dude. What a force. Just as the forces of the anime are scattered and aimless, so too are Cullen's objectives. After falling for a prank call crafted by his brother, the young lieutenant is confronted by two warlords of the warring anime clans. And it becomes clear that the Medford police must once again do battle with their arch nemeses. Of the belligerent clans, one is led by Mongo, a petulant organism with an explosive personality and a diminutive stature. As Mongo recovers from the beatdown given to him by Dad, Cullen and Darian are sent to Rite Aid, the last known location of a golfing skeleton. Mike, dude, what a fucking story. Though presumed dead, and though actually dead since he's a fucking skeleton, Mike greets the two brothers upon their arrival to the storefront, informing them of the extensive damage Rite Aid has suffered at the hands of the anime. Crack's forces are soon encountered, along with a group of mind-controlled nine-gaggers, but the true master of this scheme is not immediately apparent. Torpetus! A twice Africanized gay icon of extreme diversity has engineered a plot so despicable that it offends even Mongo. The Nine Gaggers under Torpetus' thrall are dominated by a satellite tower that broadcasts low-quality memes directly to their feeds. What's up, Veek? Doing some, doing some retrospective work here. I'm looking at that fucking line. That line about Mike really got me. Though presumed dead, and though actually dead since he's a fucking skeleton. That is next level. Wow. Wow. What's up, Renato? This once glorious fortress of grease and beef has fallen under anime control, and its liberation is decidedly long overdue. Phagmagoric fanfictioneers of crack, the aghast apes of Torpedoes, and the carnivorous cowmongerers of the villainous Randy Pitchford. Resident sex offenders. Yeah. Lure in young otakus with the promise of unlimited beef. All right, I don't think I can read anymore. I mean, there's not much more to read anyway, but trio of Tony ticklers. No pair of handcuffs could shackle such a large specimen. You're like slowly forcing the anime to fight with you as the campaign progressed. It's pretty funny. All right, so we got to figure out why the this stuff isn't working now. So let's see if the stacks are getting read correctly. Okay, it's got one stack apparently. Now it's got 3 stacks. All right, so now it has 9 stacks, right? But it's not actually working for some reason. So we know the stacks are stored on the unit correctly. It's supposed to increase range by 0.5, so I should have 4.5 bonus range, which is, I mean, like if I just add 3 more stacks, I should have double the range that I actually have, right? Oh no, I can only go up to 10, so I should have 11 range right now. Um, but it's not working for some reason. So here's the stack code. In weapon range CPP, I've got if the stacks, like basically I've got some basic shit here where it checks if the stacks are greater than or equal to 10, and then it provides a bonus amount of 5, and otherwise it multiplies it out in the way that it's supposed to. So it's bonus amount plus equals stacks times 0.5, which probably rounds down or something. So there's probably some inaccuracy here for seek range, but this is just for seek range. And the same thing is happening down in the bonus range, max weapon range hook, which is taking all that. So I've made sure that everything is plus equals, with the exception of something here that checks to see if the unit is a melee unit, which like by default it's just making sure that there's like 32 or less range, basically, right? And then there's this switch case which adds. So you want me to put it underneath? Obviously, with this implementation, wait. With this implementation, we would have problems with Barghests and golems having unlimited. Although I don't think Barghests are supposed to only have one range. So in theory, I mean, I'll have to increase their range or whatever, but I think they're like 48 or something. Oh yeah, I forgot. Oh, okay, it works now, I think? It's hard to tell. Hey, go away. Okay, so it's working now, but I wonder why. Maybe it was something to do with this. Oh, wait, I think I know why. Because if the unit doesn't have an air weapon, then this would return false or something, right? So maybe it should only be ground weapon? We'll try it with that approach. Although, all the same, I don't know why the weapon armor tooltip stuff wouldn't work. Maybe because of the default case there. I had to get. What the fuck? Get out of here, dude. That's probably what it was. Yeah, now it's working apparently. Well, never mind, it's back to not working. I don't understand why though. So it displays correctly now with their fix there, but somehow like it's probably, yeah, I think I just fucked up my sign again like an idiot. Okay, it's working. Huh. For some reason the basilisk doesn't actually get its the weapon armor tooltip code for the basilisk isn't working correctly. Can idle outrange a siege tank? I don't think so. Definitely not. But it's pretty close. I mean, it's 6 plus 5 versus 12, so it's only one range less at max. But that requires a lot of dead Barghests, so. The golem can't because it's a melee unit, but the idol certainly can. Anyway, I got a BRB now that I've implemented this. I don't know what's up with the Basilisk code. But I shall return momentarily to get some more work done. We can say that we've implemented the Barghest's passive, and that's epic. BRB. I have returned. Okay, so let's implement the Magisters real quick. I have a pretty good idea of how to do that. I can do a unit finder and proc and all that stuff in game hooks, and we can probably rely on that if I had to guess. So I'll be taking a look at the unit destructor special. We can probably just copy this over here. Oh yeah, I should get rid of all of the debug messages. go into C unit layout and add. That. Now the only thing is, okay, here is a proc, so I know that just trying to figure out where to put them was interesting by itself. So this is Magister. Oh yeah, this should be. Okay, so now I just need to jump down here and compare this to. Oh, that's right. I changed it, so it's a little bit different now. Okay. We're gonna have to change some shit up then. I think it might still make sense for this to be in-game hooks, as far as like... Oh no, it has to be... I guess I can piggyback off of the cliff range benefit or whatever. I'll see what I can do, but for now we're gonna have to move this to like... It's not even related to a proc. I thought it was something else because I forgot what I actually had there. So, weapon damage. I guess I should do if attacker does not equal null. If attacker ID equals target. Okay. So this is where I can actually copy from this. So I'll just range target. There is a break in Basilisk. Oh, there's also a break in default. You can take a look at weapon armor tools. I'll push the latest changes anyway. So you can take a look at that if you want to. That seems pretty overkill for just updating a tooltip. I shouldn't add it to this since we only need it for one area, so I think instead I'll copy this and I'll tweak it when I'm in here. Oh, I know what. That's unrelated. Okay. Okay, we're gonna see if the Magister ends up working in this context. The other thing is I don't know, was there a... I'm not sure how we should balance out the stack itself. Should it just be a permanent thing until restored? Should it be consumed after a target attacks them? I think that could work in theory. But I don't know. Let's take a look. See if it works at all, and then we'll figure out how to balance it. What the fuck? Did I get the wrong map loaded? I wasn't really paying attention. Why would I suddenly get a globals? You can ask him, but it doesn't work. Like, it doesn't perform. Like, especially on any hardware that's not top of the line, you're not going to be able to run a map with 1 AI, let alone like 10. What even is globals? On a none value. Is there something wrong with using the 84 ID or something? I'm getting a real weird panic on this line. I figured it had something to do with it, but... Oh, I see. Yeah, it works. Pretty cool. Small HP and large HP regeneration is probably fine in certain contexts. No, Barghests can't be healed. They're completely mechanical. But I like the idea in theory. It's just like you basically need to burst them down because they have so much sustenance. It's just that if it's just like it's not positionally based or something, they just get the regeneration for free. I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of that. I'm trying to think about this Magister thing because it's pretty fucking strong, but if it's just a permanent buff or a permanent debuff, I don't know. Yeah, I told you. They have one less range, and golems are not the unit, it's idol. Golem is the melee unit. But idols have one less range at full stacks. So they get outranged still. But they deal concussive damage anyway, so. But I do think that there's a pretty... Oh yeah, I should check the Basilisk thing. Yeah, even that game hooks thing that you suggested didn't work. So, it's not to do with that. Well, obviously Vassals and Simulacrums are really good because they do that thing where they detonate and like Vassals feed the Simulacrums basically. You also get Simulacrums themselves that feed each other. Golems, or Simulacrums and like the dream team would probably be like Barghest's frontlining with. So you get golems to frontline, Barghests to deal damage in the frontline. They're like the risk-taking, swarming, damage-dealing frontliners, sort of like Nathricors for Zerg in a way. Then you would have the idols in the background, dealing pretty good AoE damage, but it's concussive, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. So pretty good against Protoss in that way. And then of course you got like Simulacrums as the more standard damage dealer. And then the late game you got Reavers, Pariahs, that sort of thing. Pariahs are going to be pretty big, TBH. In fact, they won't have that melee worry here, presumably, because he's melee, so he's not going to get hit with that. The Artisan and the Govzaleth, excuse me, are going to be the advanced workers for the Protoss and Zerg, but if we can't have AI using custom workers in addition to the default workers, then obviously I'm not going to add those. I appreciate you doing that one because that's a tough one to do. For me, it would be a lazy fucking way, and it doesn't look like there's an easy way to do it lazily. So. All right, so we got the Magister, we got the Barghest. I'm still not sure if I want the Magister's passive to be like permanent, is the thing. I don't know how to make it so that like when you attack a different unit, the previous unit gets cleared. I think that you'd need like globals to link the units together or whatever. Well, you'd probably just be blending two textures together with various layers of transparency, but I don't know. We'll figure that out later. Ah, 3. Classic. Yeah, that makes sense. How's the are the engines pretty much done? Or I figured since you haven't sent them to me yet, you're probably waiting on the complete set. That's pretty epic. I was also thinking there's one way that I could implement it relatively easily where after so many attacks the buff gets destroyed. So instead of it being consumed on one attack, it would be like consumed after like 4 attacks, 5 attacks, something like that. 5 would probably be a good number. It's just that keeping track of all that shit is what's tough. So that's like a lot of information for the player to process. Oh, okay, cool. I should actually put on some music. Keep forgetting to do that. Pretty much no good mix releases lately, unfortunately. I guess my fear for the Barghest is limiting it to only affect uh what's it called? Robotic units. Actually limits it to only affect idols and I guess vassals and simulacrums. I'm actually not sure if it works on Reavers at all. I should check that. Oh shit! It looks like it might work. Holy Reaver. Hold on. Dude, imagine the reality. Imagine the reality where Reavers outrange siege tanks, man. I'm not even sure if they would, but... Holy shit! Now that's something else. Wow. All right, well, never mind. It definitely works well with Reavers. All right, now we start stacking this shit, right? Dude, imagine that range. Bye. I like detonating it prematurely. I wish that was like an actual mechanic. Maybe it was. I don't think so, though. I guess we should do like supply. Yeah, if only they dealt damage is on death. Like half damage on death or something. I could probably see that being a mechanic, and then you could like press stop to like kind of control it. And then it would deal different damage. That would add a whole new skill level for Reavers. Whole new expression of skill. IMO. Unrealistic. Unreasonable range. Even with that realization, though, yeah, I think even with that, it's still pretty niche, you know? The Barghest should probably be like... I don't know, man. Not sure what to do about that. Definitely feels pretty niche. That being said, however, I think if the Barghest ends up having like 2 range as base range instead of the 1.5 that it currently has, that might offset some of the issues that we might be seeing. So we do something like 64. Okay. The other thing I was thinking is that maybe the Magister will be a robotic unit. But I don't know. Feels weird to have one robotic unit outside of the robotics facility. Do I already have this open somewhere? No. Looks like I closed it after I was done. I guess I could just tie the permanence of the of that into the unit's cost or something. 1099 is what we're looking at here. All right, Magister passive. Something tells me maybe we have the wrong string. Oh. Well, actually, I have no idea why that's there. But I should have figured. I kind of like the idea of a player who really likes reavers. Like an iQuare personality for Protoss would be like just mass producing Barghests and suiciding, like deliberately killing them over their own reavers so that their reavers get bonus range. That would be pretty fucking funny. Well, we can go ahead and knock those off the list. Excuse me. I was waiting for it. It sure took its time. So I think I can implement the Augur's shield degeneration, and I'm not sure if I can implement the death on no more shields thing, but in update unit state I can have it degenerate instead. Oh, it looks like they already degenerate. Okay. I'm not sure if they die, though, if they have no shields. That's something we can test right now. Okay. They will actually die, which is cool. This should probably double in terms of how fast it's going, though. And obviously there's a few other things. Yeah, we don't have like a good graphic for it, so I just had Veek recolor some stuff. Crucible behavior. That should be possible in A's, but I'm not sure what I need to do there. Pennant rework, energy decay rework, entropy gone. I can start implementing one of the apostles' behaviors. So we can say I'm not sure about the range concern. I think the reason why there's the weapon range consideration is because it's a permanent debuff. Which reminds me that I should clear some of these. Oh yeah, that's a good point actually. If we could get like the energy ball to be slightly transparent using like BX Bull or something, that could be pretty neat. Not sure. I guess the worry would be that if they're too transparent, they might be too difficult to see, but they should still be noisy enough, like visually, or, visually apparent enough to stand out. So now we need weapon damage. Okay, so now in game hooks, I can go ahead and grab like the treasury proc or something as an example of this. I guess we'll need to store the there. Oh, here's a good example, actually. We should just use this as our example ammo. So this is I'm not sure how to like properly initialize this. I'll have to take a look at some of this other stuff that actually has some of these. Like in this case, we've got a C unit martyr, and I'm not sure where the martyr actually gets. Oh, the constructor is this. We're really like working off of reverse engineering a lot here, unfortunately. So we should do victim. I thought this was like a permanent effect, but it's actually like every time the weapon hits. So I don't even know if we need any of this, actually. Let me see if I can implement it just in weapon damage rather than worrying about any of this shit. I don't know what happened here. Thanks. Not what I was trying to do at all. So I think I did it in weapon fire. I'm forgetting where, like, which CPP files I was messing around with just now. We're doing like apostle. Oh, it is a weapon damage. What's up, Jimmy Wallets? If this is that clown that bought, yeah, this is the clown that bought Reforged one day every single day for like a year. Anyway, I wish him the best of luck. It's not likely that he'll be able to put anything together, but 3D is a mistake, and he's barking up the wrong tree, in my opinion. That being said, if he's successful, it'll be a net positive for everyone, so. Where was that Astral Aegis proc? Was that Game Hooks? I think so. I'll just cut my shit out of there and put it in here. Yeah, we wish him a swift recovery. Pretty much. Oh wait, target. I've got no idea if this is going to work or not, so this will be interesting. I'm not even sure if it'll compile, to be completely honest with you guys. But if I did my work correctly, we will get a unit that within 3 range of any victims that it attacks, assuming the distance between the attacker and the victim are 5 range or more, we will see a we'll see healing happen every time he attacks. Which obviously, if you target like Ultralisks or something, pretty big deal. If you've got like Firebats or if the Ultras are on top of Marines or something. That's actually 40 HP per hit, which is pretty fucking nuts. So we'll see what happens. I can't say I'm exactly like super confident in my abilities there. But looks like it built at least, so that's something. I guess I should drop like debug messages more regularly into some of this stuff, but 27. Whoa, it actually seems to have worked. Nice wireframe, by the way. Something got fucked up here. Ah, hey, do you guys think this is a lot more health than is supposed to happen, or? Okay, so I think we multiplied something by 256 that we shouldn't have. Yeah. That's pretty funny. I did not expect to see that one. Okay, so now it does it correctly, but it still is not capped, which is pretty hilarious. So I guess something is wrong here. So if unit hit points plus value, I guess maybe we don't need to multiply anything by 256 here, right? Because hit points must be built differently than shields are internally to GPTP. So we'll try without any multiplication at all. But I actually think that that works. Like, that's fucking insane to me. I really felt like I was flying by the seat of my pants with no fucking understanding of what should be happening here. We are still overhealing, unfortunately, but... Alright, forget about fire bats, actually. We need 0, 12, Zergling, 36, 1. I did see some healing happening. Yeah, there you go. Dude, that's pretty cool, actually. I really like that. I don't think we even need the range difference, though. I think we can just... Either we can, like, lower the maximum amount to, like, 0.05, so 5% of their maximum health. I don't even know if we need to do that, though. I think we just get rid of the range check so that it's a consistent behavior every time that unit attacks something. And then, like, maybe we increase the cooldown of the apostle weapon so that it's a little bit more distinct. But I actually really like how that works out. That feels really cool to have that part of the unit, like, it's healing via attacking. You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool. And we don't need this anymore because turns out I didn't need that behavior at all, or that C unit layout thing. So we're good there. The proc is still broken in some way, though. So let me reread this because it might just be a logical error here. Unit stat max hit points target ID times 10. If unit hit points plus value is greater than or equal to unit stat. Oh, that's my mistake. That's an obvious logical error. Okay, so we fixed that. And just like that, I think we've implemented the behavior. Before I commit that, though, I should go into button sets and actually set up a... button icon thing for it. What do I have against 3D RTS with minimal camera control like Warcraft 3, Starcraft 2? Well, the camera control doesn't really bother me. In fact, even in 2D RTS, I think it's fine to zoom in or zoom out. It's not really that useful for like zooming in is obviously not useful for gameplay. Zooming out should probably be disallowed from the perspective of competitive integrity because everybody should be playing at the same screen space. I'm not sure how you squash that or how you resolve the issue with multiple resolutions. Like if somebody's playing widescreen versus full screen or something like that, the aspect ratio of the image, is it just going to get stretched, which will look ugly, or is but it would be in theory fair, or should you like black bars the widescreen players or something? Like I'm not really sure how you would resolve that yet. When we get to our own engine development, we'll figure that out, obviously. But I think you can resolve the competitive integrity issues with multiple resolutions and stuff. But you just shouldn't allow people to zoom out in actual games. Like maybe that can be a flag that map editors change for. They can define a range of acceptable camera locations for custom game modes or something. And obviously, observers or casters or replays when you're watching a replay, that should be you should be allowed to zoom out, somewhat similar to what the remaster did for StarCraft 1. I think that that's fine. I also think that zooming in is actually interesting from like a casting perspective. I've seen a lot of professional League of Legends down the years, and one of the things that they often do is actually like they zoom in the camera to the champion that wins if they get like a pentakill or something. It's like an obvious way to draw focus, like zoom in and hold tight on like a certain character or whatever that really had a huge impact in the fight. So stuff like that, like maintaining that possibility. If somebody pulls off this insane micro with like Marines or something, you should be able to actually zoom in on those Marines as they're moving around after the battle's won and they're surviving. And like that can be like a visual way to reinforce the importance of that moment in the game. And that will help to like add a little bit of hype. And it's a subtle thing, but it would help. So I actually don't think that camera controls are really in question. 3D itself is the problem. Everything in 3D has to be significantly better. I mean, you're literally increasing your workload from a graphical standpoint by it's an exponential increase in your workload because you've got to make 3D look much better. 3D ages much worse. Warcraft 3 was horrible on release visually, and so was Starcraft 2, but these games only got worse looking back at them after the fact, whereas Starcraft 1 it looked pretty good when it came out, and it's not like it looks worse now because of the fact that it had a somewhat consistent art style, some very obvious issues notwithstanding, and it also had it had that like fixed perspective, the fact that it was 2D. So while StarCraft 1 has graphical issues and some issues with like readability, like some sounds or overlays or whatever being reused for certain effects, the core art style of the game has held up. And you can always tell what's happening. And readability is really important if your game is going to be competitive. And if you're not really trying to be competitive, then I don't really see what the point of making an RTS is, especially now when the casual scene of an RTS is completely gone and people just want to play like MOBAs or whatever now if they're going to play something casually. So they're not really interested. There's not a very large casual market for RTS games. So the problem with 3D is that you have to be minimalist in your direction because any large scale effects, like in StarCraft 2 or Warcraft 3, will completely destroy readability. You just won't be able to tell what's happening. So it dramatically warps what the player can actually focus on. And I'm not saying it's impossible to make a 3D RTS game that functions well and is readable, but nobody's done it yet. And I don't think that that's like a... While there's a lot of incompetence in the gaming industry, I don't think that you can just look at the fact that nobody's done it yet and say it's a coincidence. You know, it seems like 3D itself is to blame for a lot of those problems, and you can work around them, or you can just decide you're going to work on the game for like 10 years to try to make sure that it has that timeless art style, a consistent setting visually, and minimalist effects that still communicate what they need to communicate. Like, again, your workload is insanely bloated under 3D. So that's why I'm going to be using 2D for my engine, because it just makes the most sense. You get a superior visual experience for both from readability and from art style and integrity. You get a much simpler workload, and like there really is no downside. Like 3D is just a marketing term, really, because when you think of all the 3D games that you've played, I mean, with the exception of like first person shooters or something like that, there really isn't not much that they offer. Like 3D platformers are always talked about as being worse than 2D platformers because they don't put in the requisite amount of work to make the experience positive. And you can't read things, like it's hard to see what the fuck is happening. You fall off of cliffs because of shadows or lighting or whatever. That's just the case that that you make when you look at all of the games that have been released. So like if you try to focus on a really large scale battle in StarCraft 1 versus StarCraft 2 or versus Warcraft 3, not that there are large scale battles in Warcraft 3, but the largest scale that game can offer, you'll see that like I mean StarCraft 2 has pacing issues where the game is over very quickly. Like the battles are over within like a few seconds. So that contributes to it. But it's just harder to actually see what's happening and visually determine what the impactful fights were. Now in StarCraft 1 there's like a information gap. You need to learn the information about why something is interesting or why something is difficult to pull off. Like nobody's going to look at like marine micro or drone drilling. If they don't know how those mechanics work, then they might not be able to say, oh, that was impressive. It's only when you build an understanding of how impressive that actually is that adds impact to it, right? So you have to bring something to it to get more out of it, essentially. And that is a flaw within the system. Like the most intuitive experience possible would be nice. But there are always going to be quirks like that, and especially in a game like StarCraft 1 or any RTS, really. There's always going to be like mineral walking and like weird shit that you can do. And I think that's fine because it's just like the whole point is that we're designing a game for enthusiasts. If you're making an RTS now, you're not making an RTS for the casual audience. So So 1104 is our string. We'll go ahead and re-import the plugin because I don't remember if I did or not. Save this and close. All right, so we'll say hello. Oh, there we go. Oh, the other thing I have to do is I'm pretty sure I've got to set the apostle to use that button set. Okay, let's see what happens. I can spawn in reads for those things as well later on, but I'm guessing I didn't hit save or something. Wonder why that wouldn't be on the menu here. Oh, the button can't equal healing. Okay, that's some bizarre limitation. I know why that is. Ugh. It's stupid though. I wonder. I guess you should factor in shields now that I'm thinking about it. If the target has shields enabled, then the value should be max shields and max HP pooled together. It only makes sense. Okay, that should work. That way, it'll factor shields in. All right, we'll go ahead and close that for now. Plug this in. Give it a good old test. Yeah, that's not working after all. I probably made some really dumb logical error, like checking if unit instead of victim or a unit instead of target has. Oh no, it is target ID. If unit stash shields enabled, target ID. Right. Well, obviously the target would have it in that sense. I guess I should check to make sure that the actual code is working here. So hold on. Yeah, okay. So that is working for basic units, like for units that don't have shields. So we know this value works. So I'm not sure why adding these two together doesn't work. The only thing I can think of is like, maybe something's not getting caught correctly, or like shields enabled isn't the right thing to be checking here. I don't know. I guess I could just check to see if their shields are in existence, but okay. So there is something wrong with the calculation itself. Let's see what is actually going on here. Well, that would definitely be busted in theory, right? But something's getting like reset. Oh, maybe it's because like unit stat max shield points should be times 256. I guess that might be the case. It's weird that it's like required for one and not for the other. So we're supposed to be healing for 46. Go from 3 to 49. Okay, it's working. Very nice, very nice. Mwah. So in this case, we can just take this. Simplify it back, and we should be good. We'll just do the same test again to make sure that this new setup doesn't do anything differently. Cool. So we'll say implement, what's it called? Apostle behavior. And then in GPTP, we'll say, fix apostle behavior not working on targets with shields. There we go. Epic. Well, that will do it for today's mod stream. We got 3 new units, 3 new behaviors implemented. We took care of the Barghest and the Magister, and we took care of the Apostle. Let me just go ahead and remove that from the list of things that I need to do, because I've got a long list of things that I need to do. I might be able to get the Crucible done later today if I'm not too busy. The rest of it might be a little bit more powerful, a little bit more challenging. Maybe the Maelstrom projectile change that I can do later on. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. We managed to get a lot of stuff done. I'm very pleased with that. Always a pleasure to make more progress on HYDRA. With any luck, we'll be able to ship this bad boy patch by the end of this week. I know I said that last week, but you know, sneaks up on you. Thanks everybody for hanging out today. As always, your shit talking in the chat while I work and bounce ideas off of you in there. Always appreciated. And of course, thanks to HYDRA for the help with the code. Thanks to DF for help with the assets. Veek said hi earlier and then fucked off, but thanks to him too because he's pretty helpful. So yeah, wave emoji frog. Bye. Mwah.